Hello everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Chit Chat and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster, where we are working on a Super Mario theme park, specifically working on a Luigi's Mansion Dark Ride. Today we are going to be working on the interior of the ride itself, working on several shots, scenes, whatever you want to call them, rooms, displays, I don't know. Theming elements in general is what we're going to be working on today. We're going to be working on the actual ride portion of the exterior room for the Luigi's Mansion itself. We're going to be working on the EGAD's lab, which is at the very beginning of the ride. And then following that, we're going to be working on a greenhouse area, which is going to have like a piranha attack encounter going on. So little theming, a little bit of lighting, all sorts of stuff is going to be going on today. And I'm just having a good time with this. This is what I've been really looking forward to, is the actual theming of the ride itself. We'll eventually go back and kind of finish up dressing up the queue area, but I just really wanted to get into the main bulk of what this project, as far as Luigi's Mansion, is all about. And that is the ride itself. And as we work through the mansion, we will eventually get back to where the queue and the ride intersect, and then I will probably have a bunch of assets already built up at that point, and then we can utilize those assets for the queue itself. So right now you can kind of see I've been zooming out, zooming in, just grabbing different pieces from different areas of the park, this being the exterior fence that we used for the actual Luigi's Mansion. Because again, you're walking into the mansion through the queue, and then through the ride, you're going to be going into the mansion again, which is why you go through EGAD's laboratory twice, which is why you go into the mansion twice. So it's kind of to make it feel like you've exited and you're going back in as the actual ride experience. So it's kind of like you've revisited it twice, but it's a little bit different each time. Get a little bit of like a deja vu, but things are not quite as they seem sort of feeling. And I'm taking a lot of cues and a lot of things that I learned from my previous dark ride experience, especially from the Pokemon themed dark ride, which I did some time ago. You can find that video on this channel. And I had a lot of fun working on that ride, and I would like to revisit a Pokemon thing maybe in the future at some point. But after Mario, I'm probably going to get away from the Nintendo themed, or maybe just the gaming theme in general, and do something completely different. I know a lot of people have sent me suggestions, totally appreciate that, but I'm still trying to think of what would be really fun to follow this up with. But we still have a lot of work to do as far as the Mario Park is concerned, because after this, like I said, the next main attraction is going to be the Mario Kart themed ride inside of Princess Peach's castle, which is going to be like a continuation or a reinterpretation of the Mario Kart ride that I was doing from the original video game theme park way back when, which I got a couple comments on that, why didn't I, incorporate this into that previous park? And I've mentioned it several times. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it was just that my computer couldn't handle that many attractions and that much stuff in one park at once, so I had to start splintering this off into mini sections. And I really don't want to have to go through the process of like blueprinting everything and importing it into the previous park. That just would take so much time. And like I said, after the Mario thing, I think I'm a little bit video game themed out, so I might want to move on to something else, or just something that's not a Nintendo property, or just some of the, the more, I guess, first party stuff like Sonic in Pokemon, and like the next one was going to be Legend of Zelda. I think I would want to do something that's a bit more niche or indie. Say for instance Shovel Knight. I love that game. I think that would be really fun to like make an interpretation of Shovel Knight as like a dark ride or something like that. But again, that's just me just thinking of stuff off the top of my head. As far as the encounter that we are developing for this, I was kind of thinking of the it's not around anymore. I think they actually just closed it recently. Over at Disney MGM Studios, there was, I think it's called the Great Movie Ride. And it took you through like cinema history. It was a really fun ride, especially if you're a bit of a movie buff, because it takes you like all the way to the beginning with some of the earliest films, when Hollywood was really starting to get its start as like a legitimate, like, this is where movies are going to be made from here on out. Because before then it was kind of between, California was getting its start, but a lot of it was still being done in New York, and California was really just kind of building itself up. But cinemas obviously took such a huge grand like vision of everything, and movies just became a part of like our culture in general. Like, movies defined so many generations. So it was a fun ride that kind of celebrated that. And one of the parts in the ride, they actually had, it was really interesting because it's a Fox property, was that Alien had a part in that ride. And I remember it well just because it was before I was actually introduced to the movies, I didn't even know what the movies were as a kid. So when I saw them for the first time, when I saw the Xenomorphs for the first time, they actually terrified the living daylights out of me. I thought they were the freakiest thing I had seen ever. And there's one that like shows up from the side, but I missed that encounter. Like, it happened to the people behind us, and I was like, what the heck is screaming? And then the one from the ceiling comes down and starts screaming at you, and that freaked me out. So I was like, okay, I had that kind of burned into my brain, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of sort of recreate that encounter. So we have a piranha plant kind of coming down from the ceiling, and I wanted to add a second one. So later you'll see I kind of tear out part of the building on the left side, and we'll add a second piranha plant. Now, I've said this in the past in some of the other episodes. I really wish there was a way to actually attach these creations, these like objects that you build, to some kind of animation platform, something that would like allow them to move in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not talking something like really dramatic, like something that would make them swivel or pivot or rotate, just something that could give your custom creation some kind of life or some kind of movement beyond just lighting or special effects. And I know that's probably really difficult to do, but I think Little Big Planet is probably like the best reference I can give, because I know you can like create objects and kind of attach them to almost like a skeletal structure, and have those pivot points or those joints actually be based off of some sort of triggering mechanism, which we already have, you know, a fantastic trigger system inside of this game. So that would just be, you know, furthering that concept and making it a bit more robust, and actually allowing you to attach objects to it, and not just, you know, lights and fireworks and special effects and stuff like that, but to be actually able to add objects to it, and not just pre-built animation objects like they already have, like the knights and the spiders and stuff like that, but to actually allow you to use custom creations to do that with. And again, I don't know how they would do that. I just know that it's possible, and it would just be really cool to actually have like just some subtle movement to some of these characters that we've been building, you know, whether, like I said, it's them rotating or pivoting or just kind of like bouncing up and down, something, I don't know what, just any little animation would be super cool. And if there was like animated vines that they have in the spooky pack, like it would be really cool if I had those, because then I could like kind of act like those are the arms of the piranha plant kind of coming out at you. But I just thought this would be really fun, and someone had suggested, I think in the Luigi's Mansion, the one for the DS, that there was actually like a greenhouse area of the game, which I haven't played the one on the DS. I've only played the one on the GameCube way back when, but it's been for freaking ever, and I'm trying to hunt down my copy of it, and I don't think I have it anymore, so I might have to go to like Zia Records or Bookman's or something to try and find one and play it again, because it's been so stinking long. And I like Luigi so much more than Mario, and we talked about this on like my art channel where I was drawing Falco. I like the side characters more than the main characters, and that's always been a thing. No matter what the franchise is, I've generally liked the side characters more than the main characters, just because I feel like the side characters need to be developed more and given more either outlandish or standout personalities, because often the main character has a goal, has something to do, and the side characters are just there obviously to support the main character, or not to support the main character. Maybe they're to give the main character a hard time, you know, maybe they're pessimists like Falco when I was drawing him. But I just think they have personalities that are a bit stronger. Like Luigi, I feel like he has more of a personality and he has more faults to his character than Mario does, because he's not, you know, the generic hero. He has faults and he has to conquer his fears, especially in a game like Luigi's Mansion, where he's probably scared the entire game, you know? So I just find his character a bit more appealing. And I guess I could say I like Yoshi a lot too. And but Yoshi doesn't really have much of a personality. In fact, we don't even know if like the Yoshi we follow is the same Yoshi every single game, so that's kind of an interesting concept to think about. But yeah, Luigi's a really fun character, and I love playing as him. So when I was trying to decide on what would be the next ride that we would make, just Luigi's Mansion just seemed like a good way to go. And I've heard a lot of people in the comments like want like a Wario or a Waluigi, and we have a gift shop that we're gonna do that's based around those two characters. But I also think a lot of people have been asking for like a gold mine train for like Wario or something like that, and I think that comes from his level in Mario Kart on the Nintendo Wii U, also now on the Switch, which I just recently played the Switch version for a live stream. We were doing an Extra Life charity stream, and I actually got to be a part of one of the ones that we were doing locally, so I jumped in on that and played Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch, and they had like a bunch of new characters. I think like King Boo was in there, Dry Bowser was in there. I normally play as Larry, which was one of the Koopa kids, because, I don't know, just the idea of, like, Larry. You know, you have characters like Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Bowser, and then there's Larry. It's just, like, it's the basic name that, like, really throws me off, you know? It's just, like, all these people that have, like, amazing titles, and you're like, and Larry. And he's just, he's got, like, the blue mohawk thing going on, and I like the Koopa kids. I think they're great, and I always thought it was interesting that they added them in, like, all the different variations, all the different versions of the Koopalings, the Koopa kids, the Koopalings, whatever they're called, in not only Smash Brothers, but also Mario Kart. So there must have been someone at Nintendo be like, you know what we need to do? We need to add all these skins to, you know, Baby Bowser, Bowser Jr., so that they can play as, like, these other Koopa kids that, like, haven't been in games in forever. I think they recently had them in Super Mario 3D World, but other than that, they kind of, like, for a while, they just weren't there. So, we're actually coming down to the end of this video. It's going to be a bit shorter than some of the other ones that we've done lately, just because I want to start trying to get 2 episodes out of Planet Coaster a week. I'm still messing around with the schedule a little bit. I know Cuphead came out this Monday, which you haven't seen my Cuphead series, and you want to see me kind of lose my mind just a little bit. I love that game to death, but it is kicking my butt. If you want to see that, I've got 3 episodes out right now. The 3rd one came out this Monday. And I'm playing against the crazy, like, plane lady boss right now, and she is difficult. I got to her final form, and I did not have a good time. I still haven't beaten her yet, but I'm hoping in episode 4 we can actually finish that up and move on to the next boss, whichever one that will be. I don't know. I'm having more fun with the bosses than I am the run and gun segments, and I've heard that most of the game is boss fights, so I'm actually really excited for that. And then, of course, I still have Sonic Mania, which is going to be in its final episode here coming up soon. So right now I'm trying to think maybe the Planet Coaster stuff will be on Mondays and Fridays, with either Sonic Mania or Cuphead being on Wednesdays. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep that up for, but if I can continue to do it, I totally will, so we can get some of this Planet Coaster content out a little bit quicker. And also, real quick, I just want to say thank you. Currently, as I'm looking at the subscriber count for the gaming channel, we are at 1,000 chatterboxes. So thank you all so much for the continued support. I super appreciate it. And as we're moving on to the final looks for this episode, you can see that we got a fair bit done from the entrance to Egad's lab. We're going to be having an encounter with Egad and Luigi off to the left, where he's probably going to give him the Poltergust. And then we're going to move on to the greenhouse, where you have the encounter with the piranha plants. As we move from that, we're going to go to the entrance of Luigi's Mansion itself, where we're going to have several encounters. I'm still trying to figure out what those are going to be. I've gotten some really good suggestions, so if you have any other thoughts of what you would like to see inside Luigi's Mansion, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And that is going to bring us to the end of this episode, so like always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. We've actually gotten 2 new patrons this month, so thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. If you want to help out the channel, consider subscribing. And if you like this content and you want to see more, check out the video to the top right. And if you're interested in seeing my art, animation, or voice acting content, check out the video to the bottom right. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will chat with you later.